So sometime, like, I don't know, even in the Buddhism, like there is a refuge. You know, if you have been reading some Buddhist book or something, like traditionally speaking, there is like two causes for the refuge. Is one is fear and one is faith. Fear and faith is necessary to what do you say? To receive the refuge, like from a traditional Buddhist point of view. So when we talk about fear, that fear, I don't think it is talking about fear of hell. You know, fear of like that kind of, you know, it is like a fear of punishment from your karma. You know, it is like, I don't think it is a fear, it is not talking about that fear. I think it is talking about being careful. So that is why, like, you know, from a traditional Buddhist point of view, when we look at the fear, fear is not always negative. So, accepting the fear. So when we accept the fear, then we are exploring a lot of stuff in ourselves. So mainly there is like a deep down, there is a fear, and then many times when we deny we are afraid, and what happens is we avoid our fear. And we keep avoiding our fear. When we avoid our fear, what it becomes? We suppress our fear. When we suppress our fear, then it becomes an unnatural fear. Means we become very worried. We become very full of anger. Like, for example, like many of these, you know, like aversion emotion that we have is actually deep inside. It is just a fear. But, you know, because due to the suppression or repression of our own fear, then it comes in a different form, like anger. So actually anger is a, you know, deep, like anger is a mask that is put by our fear. Because actually there is a fear and we repress that and we kind of, you know, really avoid it so hard that it cannot come as a fear. So then it comes as an anger. So that is why when we kind of like really go deep into ourselves, like, you know, working with our emotion, actually, like we have a whole world that is a level, I don't know, from a Western point of view, what do you call, there's like a body, like a physical body, astral body, you know. So I don't know, that's just kind of like, there's an English word like that. But it is mainly kind of emotion. Another aspect of you, that the emotion world that needs attention. So many times the mistake that when we are dealing with our fear, what mistake people always make is people always make mistake of, you know, suppressing it. Suppressing the fear, not accepting the fear. So that is why just kind of like a main thing to really accept the fear and then face your fear. And what is that? So when we really face the fear, what we see? We see is when we are afraid, there is an anticipation, right? There is like what do you call? Like you are, like it is just like when we are making our fear unnatural, then we live in an imagination, like it is not happen, but in your mind, everything is happen. Like, you know, it is like people who are afraid to be burning in the hell. Like, they are not burning in the hell, but in their mind, they are already burning. So, you know, then it is just like, you know, you project things. And one thing about, as a human being, you know, it says that our brain is very interesting. That, when you imagine stuff, like what you imagine and what you really happening, our brain doesn't differentiate it. Like what you imagine and what is really happening, situation really happening right in front of you, our brain cannot differentiate, because it is same image that is coming in our mind. So mind, when you imagine like that in the fear, when we live in the fear, and when we imagine like that, then what happens is, it is already happening. Like for example, like in the fear, we just kind of like, there is one of my master, he joked about the fear. He said that if, if you're facing the death, if you're just in front of death, the person who is facing the death, he will not worry what is going to happen tomorrow. Right? Like we, on the other hand, who is not facing the death right now, worried about what is happening. So means we have a lot of time to be afraid. When we have a lot of time to be afraid, means actually we are safe. Actually opposite. We are safe right now. Means we are not facing the death. If somebody like if you are in front of somebody is pointing gun to you, I don't think that we are like that is the face to face, right? That person will not think what I'm going to do tomorrow, what is going to happen tomorrow. Means that person doesn't have a time. We, on the other hand, we are afraid of becoming nothing and to be dead. Like we spend a lot of time, and we have enough time, but we use that time to, create more unnecessary suffering. So that is why, like when we are dealing with the fear, when we really see, after accepting the fear, what we see, what we find, is we find that our fear has a lot of unnecessary anticipation. Unnecessary things that is not truth at all is creating. That is what we will see. After we accept the fear, then we really look into the fear, and what will we see? What will we find out? What will we realize? Is that fear is just a lot of waste of energy. It is like we are wasting a lot of energy. So when we find that, then what will we do? We will see that when we are living in fear, when we see the total nature of the fear, then we will understand that fear is not living in the present moment. When we are living in the fear, our mind, our self is totally in the future. When, we are totally in the future, and we will find that, we will realize that. So when we realize that, then what happens is you will find that I'm not in the future. I'm aware. I'm right now in the present. And then there is a shift. There is a shift come, and you will allow yourself to be living in the present, but then you see your fear clearly.